Yes, guys, so to celebrate the launch of the Anxiety Coach podcast, I'm running a giveaway. And so if you want to be in the chance of winning a Revitalize program journal and logbook, which is something that every person who comes into the Revitalize program gets as a gift, essentially. If you want this for free, then or to be entered into the competition to win, then please leave a rate, a review, and share the podcast on any social platform that you use. Thanks, guys. Much love, and I hope you enjoy the podcast. Yes, guys, I hope we're all well, and welcome back to the second episode of the Anxiety Coach podcast with myself, Ewan Williams. Solo episode today, and we're going to be talking and looking into and inside the mind of an anxiety sufferer. A quick chat on that, really, and hopefully things resonate with you and you get a few aha moments. And then we're going to look at one thing that we can do to help us bring us or ourselves out of our minds, because that's where we are when we're anxious. We're very up here in our minds, pulled around by every thought that we have, and take us into our body, the sensations inside of our body, without, the mind that runs away alongside that, if that makes sense, which I know is a huge thing for people. And those of you that may struggle with health anxiety in particular, which is something that I actually really, really struggled with in my past when I was at uni, which I know you are aware of if you've listened to episode 1. But yeah, let's kind of just talk through a little bit of a day or a morning in the life of an example of someone who may struggle with anxiety. Okay? And so a lot of the time we wake up, we instantly have this feeling of unease, feeling of overwhelm, and a feeling that although we may have been to sleep for a full night, the feeling that we haven't slept at all, because that sleep hasn't been restful, because your nervous system has been so jacked up, you haven't managed to get into that restful state of deep sleep. And so with someone who has health anxiety, for example, we could wake up and then instantly search our body for that symptom. Maybe, feeling that heartbeat in your stomach. Maybe your eyelid's been twitching for a few days and your mind, your thoughts are instantly drawn to, is that symptom still there? And then if it is, that then causes us to spiral into that kind of catastrophic thinking of, essentially, is that symptom still there? What is it? Does this mean I'm dying? Have I got XYZ disease? And this is exactly it with anxiety, is that it causes us to spend the majority and pretty much all of our time up in our head, trying to make sense of everything and trying to create that certainty and figure everything out within our experience. And that's why we create these stories around a bodily sensation or a bodily symptom, because we crave and we need that certainty, even if that certainty means we have cancer, or we're dying, or we have motor neuron disease, And that was certainly the case for me when I was struggling with health anxiety. Another example for someone who struggles with social anxiety, and actually the underlying feeling of needing to be accepted and feeling, rejected in the past, is massively where that comes from, in my experience. But we may wake up thinking about an encounter or a scenario that we had the day before or even a few years ago, and we keep replaying how we looked, how we stood, how we thought in that scenario. Did we sound stupid? And we do all this constant analysing to then say, oh, okay, well, this is what I need to do next time. And the reason that we do all this analysing throughout our days, for example, we manage to get ourselves to work feeling tired, feeling that sense of unease and uncertainty. We manage to get ourselves there. We may be, running a little late because we couldn't get out of bed. And then those thoughts go through our head like, I'm going to be late. What's everyone going to think of me? And then when we're there, we've told ourselves so many times, I'm going to be myself today. I'm just going to speak my mind and be confident in front of others. However, when we're there, we get to work, we want to speak to that person that we want to talk to or have that conversation with our boss, and we can't do it. It's almost like we regress back into that person that we said we wouldn't be. And that's because when we're in that situation where something inside of us has been kind of triggered, we can't think rationally. And so then we repeat that behaviour and that pattern of, not speaking our mind, people pleasing. And this is still on, the social anxiety example. People pleasing, saying yes to things that we don't really want to say yes to, but then also saying no to things that we kind of want to do, like go out to that social situation. But we know how we're going to feel when we're there, and so we avoid that feeling. And then we create these stories in our mind and these kind of reasons not to do that thing. If that makes sense. And we may just have that general sense of anxiety. We can be okay within social situations. We're not, super in our minds and anxious about our health. But we may just have that sense of unease in the world, and we may be a worrier. People may call us a worrier. And so that we're constantly thinking of every small to huge thing that could go wrong. And so a common example which I hear is from mothers who have children, teens that are going to go out and hang out with their mates, and there's all of these what ifs around the safety of their child. Are they going to be naughty? Are they going to be causing trouble? What are they getting up to? Which is, totally okay, because you care. You care about your child and you want them to be safe and not to cause trouble. But we create these scenarios in our minds based on a feeling within our body, or as a reaction to the feeling in our body. And it's habitual. It's a habitual reaction, and it's a reaction there to essentially protect us from that feeling. So if you think of, these thoughts as a dragon, and the feelings locked in your body are like a treasure chest which your dragon is sitting on top of. And that dragon is, your subconscious mind, or your ego, or your inner child, if you want to call it that, is there to protect you from feeling those hurt, feeling those horrible feelings of rejection, uncertainty with your health, potentially not feeling enough or not worthy to be a parent, which is why you may come up with all these worries and anxious thoughts around the safety of your child, or whether they're going to cause trouble or not. And you can then judge, potentially, yourself. You can blame yourself or the world around you. And you can then shame as well. For example, if you tell yourself that you're going to be different in a social situation, and you kind of revert back into your normal self, which you said you weren't going to be. If you have social anxiety, maybe you start mind blanking, you start blushing, you start not being able to put sentences together properly, or you're just really quiet and you avoid the situation. Then all this kind of guilt and shame and blame can come in. And actually they will. I don't think we can go through life without having those thoughts, because that protector is always going to be there. That part of us that wants to protect us by kind of diverting attention into the mind and away from the uncomfortable bodily sensations. Is there to protect us. And it's actually our job as people who want to, I'm assuming you want to because you're listening to this, you want to overcome, you want to conquer, you want to not let anxiety run your life. This is where we have to realise that those thoughts are not us. We are not our anxious thoughts. We don't have anxiety. We experience it. We are not it. If that makes sense. But going back to the health and the social anxiety, we may look for answers on Google, we may look for answers on social media or support from others and read all these things. Maybe even sign up for some courses online, maybe sign up for some therapy, maybe listen to me chatting shite on this podcast for however long, in the hope that they will solve your problems. or I will solve your problem. They're great. They're great to give you tools. They're great to give you, knowledge and actually inspiration. The only person who can solve your problems, who can solve your problems, is yourself, by taking that action on those tools, on those things you learn. And actually, by taking action and listening to this right now is great. It means you want to listen to it and you want to do something differently. And I love that. And so feel free to pop me a message, leave us a comment of how this has been for you, whether anything's resonated, whether anything's helped. But just reverting back to that is that we can look everywhere and anywhere externally for that thing, or those things, or the person, or the environment, which we often do. Is we change jobs, we move house, we change partners, we buy a dog, to change how we're feeling internally. And sometimes it does, for a bit. But unless we change that internal and that stimulus within the body, where that stored emotion or that stored feeling is, all these external things that we look for or change or do, they're kind of like a boomerang. And eventually that boomerang is going to come back. Now we can do and learn all the tools, all these mindset tools, get that support from others, which is amazing and fantastic. However, until we do that internal work and we actually take action on the tools that we can do to regulate our nervous system, then that boomerang will keep coming back. Yeah, it may take longer to come back, but it will come back. And that anxiety and those feelings of unease, uncertainty. And so we're going to go through something right now to help us bring that awareness into our body and just be with our body and that sensation within it. And yeah, our mind will then want to take us places, thoughts about the sensation, thoughts about some point in the day or your life or the future. If we can bring ourselves back to that sensation and stay there with that sensation, it may get more intense, and that's okay. That's what allows us to process and to essentially metabolize that energy stuck in the body. Or another more scientific way of explaining that is that's how we're going to help to regulate our nervous system so that it's not, almost constantly stuck in this yellow or red zone, which we'll chat about in a future podcast. So for now, guys, what I want us to do is close your eyes and put your left hand in the air, and then just bring your awareness to the sensations of your left hand maybe some temperature, maybe some tingling, heat, fuzzy. But just have a think. Are you aware of more sensations in that left hand now? You're putting your attention and your awareness on it. Now let's put our left hand down, put our right hand in the air. And now just direct your awareness to that right hand. And notice those sensations. Just label them whatever it might be. And just stay with them, stay with those sensations. But can you notice how I didn't have to explain to you what awareness was? You just knew how to do it. It was kind of innate. And we all have that. We all have that ability. Every animal has that kind of ability to put our awareness in an instant onto anything. And that is the one key thing that we can do to help us conquer and overcome anxiety, is actually shifting awareness and doing a little less thinking, a little less trying to solve every single puzzle of ourselves. And when we do that, and when we can get to the root of that for a lot of the things that are essentially causing us to be in our mind, which generally comes from past conditioning, pretty much most of the time comes from past conditioning. The more we can do that and build a practice around that, the more things are going to let go. The more things that are actually going to come up and signal to our nervous system that actually we're okay, we're safe. And process that stuck energy, that stuck emotion that kind of froze in our body in the past. So yeah, guys, I hope that's helped. I hope that has, resonated with some of you, and that you will practice that awareness, bringing that awareness to sensations within the body, because that is the stem, and that is where anxiety essentially comes from. It's a way of keeping us safe from these hurtful sensations that are stored within the body from our past. And so anxiety is actually a coping mechanism, one that served us in the past, but it doesn't now, and it doesn't have to. And with action on these things, you can, and I know we can, work through them. And we can learn to know that we are not our anxiety. Anxiety is something that we just experience. And so, guys, I hope that helped. Leave a comment, a review, and yeah, pop me a message. Follow me on Instagram, the.anxiety.coach, for some more videos and things like that on healing anxiety, conquering anxiety, and living a more empowered life. Hope that helps, and I'll catch you guys in the next episode. Cheers. Thank you for listening, guys. I mean, from the bottom of my heart, I really, really appreciate it, and I would love it if this resonated with you, and you know of anyone that would really, really benefit from hearing this. If you could leave a positive rate and review, and also share on your platforms, or share with anyone who you think this may benefit.